Hi, my name's Ollie Bliss and this is my channel Book Draw. Today I am doing a tour of Elizabeth Gaskell's house, and you can see this is the house which is in Manchester. It's in quite a suburban little area really, but I thought it'd be fun to give you a little tour as part of the whole Victober experience, so I hope you enjoy. It's only open on Wednesdays, Thursdays and Sundays, but there's a whole range of wonderful things to go and see. So I just decided to give you a quick visual tour of everything that's there. I was really surprised to see this collection of books, which are by The Life of Charlotte Bronte. I didn't actually realise, but Elizabeth Gaskell had written about her life, and that's because they met several times, and Charlotte came over to the house 3 times, in fact. And she was asked to write her memoir, which was kind of controversial at the time. I loved this display. It had a little brooch and her painting, which I've seen before, but I didn't realise was so small, and also her childhood doll, which is super cute. There was also a gifted set of Gaskell's works, and that's original, so it's all glassed up. But there's also digital displays there, so we got to learn about the family. So she had 4 children: William, Margaret, Florence, and Julia. But it also showed other digital archive material. So, like, this is the Free Trade Hall, which is a significant site of the Peterloo massacre, where 80,000 people gathered and peacefully, and cavalry came in and basically trampled on them. It's actually the anniversary next year, and there's going to be a film releasing real soon about it.
We are on the brink of liberty.
We demand that our suffering cease.
Now is the time for action. Now!
The corrupt order will come crashing down!
Liberty or death! Liberty or death! Liberty or death! Liberty or death!
But it's nice that they also connected to other buildings like this one, which is the Natural History Society building, which was drawn reference from Mary Barton, because the character Job Lee was a naturalist in his spare time. So it's cool that they had all these little references in the house as well. The most significant, if you want to get your geek on for Elizabeth Gaskell, was the John Rylands Library, which is also in Manchester, has a full collection of Elizabeth Gaskell's original writings, and it's been digitized, and you're able to kind of flick through and have a look at that material. So I completely geeked out at that bit myself. What was lovely was walking around the rooms of the house. So we went into Liz's husband's study, his private study, William Gaskell. So he was Reverend of the English Unitarian minister, but he was also a charity worker, and he was a pioneer for education of the working class. The pair of them were just really good eggs. But there's a painting of him which sits in the Manchester Art Gallery. So they had a print in the room, which was nice just to see. But it's also good to know that that history is here, and also in the Portico Library, which is another local library in Manchester, there is a bust of him as well. So it's nice to see how all these things connect to each other and how significant he really is. Because I've just finished reading North and South, and I didn't realise possibly how much of Mr. Hell's character from North and South may have been based on William Gaskell. William actually rejected the Holy Trinity and the Catholic Church. He didn't believe in the doctrine of original sin as a Unitarian minister. And that kind of mirrors parts of Mr. Hale's character, which I thought was really interesting how that was drawn in, because I wasn't aware of any of that. So it was nice to see how it breathed life into the books for me. And this was an image which the one of the volunteers had of his actual place of worship. So all of that was really nice to get insight to. But it sounded like they actually had quite a unique relationship. Utilitarians believed in equality, so Liz had her own space and her own independence within the household. Keeping it real though, he had his own private study, whereas she was given permission to write her stories in the dining room. But he also was pretty cool in the fact that she was able to travel by herself and she had her own passport. I mean, she would have had a entourage of folk with her, but he gave her quite a lot of liberty, really, and they carried out very independent, separate lives. And what I didn't appreciate is how much kind of leverage Liz had. This is some correspondence directly between her and her editor, Charles Dickens. Apparently, their relationship was quite fraught with each other, and because North and South was actually published as individual chapters in like a kind of newspaper journal type thing, the ending of North and South in those publications is different to the actual published novel because she wasn't happy with the way in which it ended, and he kind of forced her to rush it. So finding all those things out was just really, really cool. But being able to explore the rest of the family home also gave other insights, like Charles Halley actually taught piano to the kids, and John Ruskin gave painting lessons as well. And Margaret seemed to flourish from that, and these are some of her pictures. Um, and so the home was full of all these incredibly interesting, prolific characters across England at that time. It was nice just to kind of imagine what it would have been like living in that household and experiencing the grand quality of their life. I don't think they were too grand, really. I mean, there's a letter which is being written in horizontal and vertical lines. I think they were actually quite frugal with the way in which they lived. And because that was just kind of a thing that was done to save paper as a great resource. And again, talking to another one of the volunteers, he was showing me a painting of Bellevue back in the day. And he said, that's him, he said that that was exactly how it looked when he was a kid growing up. He also showed me the silverware which was given to William as a gift for 25 years' service as a Unitarian minister. So he was clearly very dedicated. And he also showed me this painting of his mum, and I couldn't help but think it looked very familiar in terms of watching the BBC's North and South with the character Mrs. Hell. I don't know, what do you think? Are they similar? I think they pretty much are. But it's just really nice to have a proper little potter around their collection. They've got different examples of their first editions, and there's lots of different prints and paintings, and they also have temporary exhibitions and events. There is a Frankenstein conversation happening while we're there, and this was looking at some of the history of the workers who worked within the house itself. It was also funny to discover that previously the university owned it, and the house itself was looked after by students, and before that the Harpers. So just finding the history was pretty cool. But we also had a little play in their little room, which had loads of secondhand books. So just for that alone, there is just a wealth of books to search through. So I do highly recommend having a visit because it looks like it's a place which you can keep on returning to. And if you go once, you then have a pass for 12 months. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed my whistle stop tour. I'll see you again all real soon with my wrap up for Victober. I'll leave you with Craig looking incredibly cute, and I'll see you all again real soon. Take care. Bye.
Beautiful. So